deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York. Well, Andrew Hollister continues to be on assignment, meaning he's at a family gathering over in the Czech Republic. In his stead again today, we have Kevin Wilson.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. We are here live in the WYSL studios.
And your sidekick, your loyal sidekick.
Yes, we do have.
I'm identifying as a ham sandwich today.
Okay. All right. You do your thing, man.
Yes.
Sean Phelan, our resident agent of chaos. And, of course, Bob Savage in studio producing as well.
Greetings all.
So, again, we are live in studio again. If you want to join the conversation this hour between noon and 1, give us a call at 585-346-3000 or leave us a comment. We're across the interwebs on Radio Free New York Facebook page, Andrew C. Hollister, YouTube. Comment on any one of those. I will see it. I will acknowledge it, maybe. And if it's good, we'll talk about it.
And don't forget 103.2, The Jock.
That's right. 107.9.
Yeah.
109.7.
No, see, I gave out an even number on the end because I know with the even numbers you can't.
Well, you know, Dominican Republic, they have even numbers on that time.
Oh, yeah. When I was in Thailand, that was the same case, too, and it was really strange. There was no bleed over. I thought they would be.
Oh, well, whatever works. I don't know much about the radio stuff. I just come in and talk, and I let Bob handle all the hard stuff here. But anyway, Sean, I realize I don't know if we've ever actually introduced you. Sean, who are you?
I am the Libertarian Party board member for Monroe County. I am also the state representative for New York State's Libertarian Party, which is about to change over to the regular party, and I'm a former school teacher.
Yep. All right, cool. I know we realized we just kind of jumped in, started talking. And, of course, we used to have a show together back on another station. We used to have a show called Outside the Echo Chamber. And that's why, I have Sean in, because Sean keeps things interesting in the studio. He always says, I never know what he's going to say. But we do have a few interesting topics coming up, including something related to some breaking news that I just saw come in. And I want to talk about vaping a little bit, because there are two interesting things that happened this week related to vaping. One is that New York State, in a recent ruling, struck down the flavor ban in New York State.
Yes.
So Governor Cuomo had tried to, and the health department had tried to institute a flavor ban in New York, and it said that the ruling said that it exceeded the authority in an attempt to curb the teen vaping crisis, basically saying that they needed an act of the legislature to be able to do this. It was illegal for the governor to just go and do it on his own by executive fiat, as I understand it.
That's correct.
Yeah. And so, and I love seeing rulings like this because, yeah, no, that makes sense to me. That's common sense. How can the governor just go in and declare that this product is banned?
But the youth, you got to protect the youth.
Yeah, no, we got to save the kids.
Got to save the kids from themselves.
It's always about the kids.
And I was ranting about this before the show, but I don't vape. It's not my thing. If you do, that's fine. That's great. What drives me nuts about the moral panic around vaping is when the government is not only banning products that I think adults should be able to use without any penalty, but it's also that they're lying about it. And that's what really drives me nuts. That the Governor Cuomo has constantly said, oh, this is killing people now. And in the recent breaking news, the other news story is that I saw across several news channels, an Ontario County woman died, and the headline always says, from vaping.
Yep.
And in a lot of the news stories, it says
vaping related is actually the way they term it.
They term it vaping related, quote unquote, right? And what drives me nuts about these news stories is like, okay, we know that the CDC found that most of the quote unquote vaping related illnesses and deaths were caused by a contaminated THC product. In all of these news stories, they conflate that with e-cigarette use, which is not quite the same thing.
No.
And so that's what gets me. It's a public safety issue, right? Like if e-cigarettes are actually causing people to get sick, then that's fine. Like we should investigate that. We should look into that. That's not really what's happening here. What's happening in most of these cases is THC related illness, and people should be worried about that. Well, you should know where your product is coming from.
Yeah, when you're smoking dope and you're using a vaping device to do that, and it's got lots of times the vaping stuff that is, I only have a peripheral understanding of this stuff. Yeah. But when you're smoking dope using cannabis oil or whatever, sometimes they add something to that as a form of vitamin E that coats your lungs and makes your lungs incapable of doing the gas exchange, which is necessary for your lungs to work.
Some type of oil that people add in there, which is fine if you add it to food. It's not going to hurt you if you add to food, but people have been adding it to...
Because you don't put food in your lungs.
Exactly.
Right.
So you don't want to do that. It's dangerous, and, in theory, you should know like where your product is coming from, what people are putting in it, and in the black market, that doesn't always happen. In the legal market,
when it comes to this THC stuff, you don't know where any of it comes from. In most cases,
well, sometimes you do. I mean, you can find people that are producing it themselves. They're taking vaping liquid that they bought from a reputable store, and they're adding THC to it. Like you could in theory do that, right?
In theory.
I'm not saying I know people that do that, but yeah, I do. I do know people that do that. Yeah. They, with any black market item, they will take whatever the product is and they will mix it in with something to stretch it out to bring their profit margins up higher.
Right, they're cutting it, right?
Yes, exactly. Cutting it, yes. So, but my thing is with this whole, thing is, if you were to look at the vaping ban and the deaths and everything and look at that time frame and then compare that to the amount of deaths of cigarette smoking.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Not even close. But yet, what do you hear from the government?
Yeah.
Crickets. Nothing.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying like go out and vape. I'm not going to go out and say it's good for you. It's possibly less bad for you than smoking cigarettes. But I also don't think it's going to kill you, and I don't think it's productive for the government to make that accusation. And what Governor Cuomo said in response to the woman who died in Ontario County, and it's awful, is said, these deaths are tragic and they're also preventable. We know smoking and nicotine are dangerous. Is becoming tragically clearer by the day that vaping is too. But again, we don't exactly know that that's what caused this. No. They're trying to jump on that to retroactively justify a ban where there's no scientific evidence to prove that legal e-cigarette products are causing this. And again, I'm not standing these products. I'm just saying I don't like when the government lies to ban something.
Right.
And it's clear that if anybody applies any kind of logic and reason to it, cigarette smoking, you're burning a leaf product and you are oxidizing it. Inhaling those fumes is fundamentally very bad. Yeah. While vaping takes whatever the product is and brings it into a gaseous form, which is not oxidized, therefore not burned, and therefore...
It was a carbon that get it, that coats your lungs. I thought it was the carbon that did it.
Yeah. Right, yeah, but what I'm getting is that, it's not as abrasive, it's not as aggressive, it's not as harsh, it's a lot smoother. And then, of course, when they add, like, bubblegum flavor to it,
Yeah, which of course, we should mention that in addition to the New York State ban, which was struck down recently, there is a federal ban now that is on fruit-flavored products and mint-flavored products, although you're still able to buy flavorings that you can then add afterwards yourself, as I understand, which people would do anyway, because that's what people did before there was enough of a market to create pre-flavored products, is people just add their own thing. And... Yeah. So, and then there's a comment here from Jeremy. It says, "So legalize THC and don't have to buy it off of the black market." Yeah, I mean that's exactly a solution to that. Is if we have legal products and you're able to hold the manufacturer of that product accountable, then I think that you're going to end up with safer products.
But New York is going to do the same darn thing that California did and overtax it and just stimulate the black market some more.
Yeah. Well, if you want these products, are you going to go to the state store and pay 4 times what the street price is? Nah. I don't think so. You're going to keep on buying the stuff from Vito down in the mailroom, like you always did.
That's the product, and that's what ends up happening. And hopefully Vito is not getting his product from a source that adds vitamin E acetate that's making you sick.
I joked with somebody that posted something on Facebook about, California's first month with the legalization, they took in $2.3 million in taxes. And I'm like, oh, great. They sold 2 ounces.
Exactly right. And by the way, the pattern is, and we've seen this in Colorado and other states, is there's an initial, if you'll pardon the expression, rush to try these products, and then when people get tired of paying the ridiculous prices and the novelty of walking into a storefront, as opposed to buying it out of the trunk of an Eldorado, that wears off when you're paying all the taxes on top of the dope.
Yeah, I think most people would prefer to buy it the legal way, but the market finds a way.
It'd be great to walk into a 7-Eleven or something and just be like, yeah, I'll take that.
All right, so we'll be back in just a few moments here on Radio Free New York. Thanks for listening in.
Your business relies on computers and
I have a doormat in Proto.
Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime. Your bottom line.
Yeah, I couldn't move in here as quickly as usual.
Are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hi, Bob Savage here for the WYSL stations. So times are tight, and you've got to watch every penny. How to get maximum advertising impact without shelling out maximum bucks? Well, there's print media. Of course, there's a reason why it's called the incredible shrinking daily paper. Then there are those penny savers and shoppers, 98% of which hit the recycling bin without ever being opened. And are you really looking for customers who are shopping for used tires and playpens? You could try cable TV, 500 channels, 12 viewers per channel. Or how about hiring some guy in a day-glow orange wig to dance holding up your sign down at the corner? If you want real advertising impact with a quality message for savvy consumers who actually have money to spend, WYSL has a giant 20,000-watt signal and 2 FM channels at 92.1 and 95.5, covering 1.4 million people all over Rochester and the region, literally all the way to Pennsylvania. Get results, save time and money. Call us, get on board, and start growing for 2020. 346-3000 or WYSL1040.com.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams, your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
Okay, Sean has lit up his, well, I guess you don't really light it up, his e-cig, so we're ready to go.
Yeah, no need to light up. All right, so
a little curly Q thing on the end that simulates a flame.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Lights up.
Get one of those. I've seen those before, just little lights up.
Is it, I gotta say, these things are dorky. It's like the modern mullet.
Yeah. You think they're going to go out of style? They're just going to look like a nerd
Go
thing
out
to
of
do?
They are out of style.
They are out of style?
But people think they look cool, you know. Got the face piercings and the colored hair. What?
Okay, boomer. Still understand.
I plead guilty.
No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kind of with you on that. I'm not. It's not really my thing. But yeah, it's do what you want to do. You're an adult. It's your body. I don't think that the government should be in the business of banning these types of things. But
we definitely agree there.
Yeah. But speaking of banning things, let's talk about Virginia a little bit.
Yeah, let's ban government.
Yeah, ban government.
No,
all right, sorry. Is that where that went? No. So in Virginia, and I know Andrew has done a whole episode covering the gun bills and the gun laws that are going through down there. And if you haven't listened to that yet, I encourage you to listen to it. It's great. It's very informative. Since then, some other things have happened as well. Sean, do you have an update on that? I know you want to talk about it.
Well, for people that are like living under a rock, Virginia governor declared a state of emergency ahead of a gun rights rally that was due to concerns about another Charlottesville incident that might occur, if you remember the one back in August of 2017. And really, it just seems like another move to infringe on not only First Amendment, but Second Amendment rights, you know, and,
right.
You know, and I saw the setup, and they've got like fences set up like cages to, cage the people in.
Walk through security.
No. I'm more than that. You know, it's not just like, oh, here's a little fenced in area you have to walk through, get checked by security to make sure you're all right. They got like areas penned off.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know if they actually called it a freedom zone or if that's just one of the things that was making fun of it online. But you can see like the area around the Capitol, and like, this is where you're allowed to protest in this little cage that you have to walk through TSA style security to be able to get through. Because again, what the governor done is they are allowed to have, I don't like using that word, but they are allowed to have a rally. But the governor has issued an executive order saying that you are not allowed to have a firearm at this rally, which is, again, protesting the Virginia gun rights restrictions that have recently gone through. And I'm going to read off the legal brief from the executive order. It says, determined to prevent another tragedy, the governor issued a carefully limited executive order. The order does not prevent anyone from speaking, assembling, or petitioning the government. Instead, it temporarily precludes private possession of firearms in a sensitive public place during a specified time to protect public safety and safeguard the rights of all citizens to peacefully speak, assemble, and petition their government.
So what's wrong with this picture? Anyone?
He declared the entire area is going to be a gun-free zone, except for the people that are protecting him.
Yeah. Well, there's more to it than that. Governor Blackface, aboard them all Northam, is he's made a little quantum leap here logically. Because he doesn't want a repeat of Charlottesville. There was no shooting in Charlottesville.
No, there was not.
Charlottesville was a single person who had apparently some issues, who ran over another person with a car. So if we don't have
one person, he hit a whole slew of people.
Well, I mean, he killed one. Is what I meant to say. He killed one. Is what I meant to say. There's one fatality, and if Governor Blackface doesn't want a repeat of Charlottesville, he should be banning motor vehicles, not guns.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing that's going on with this is that they're kind of conflating two, right? Like the thing that happened in Charlottesville was a Unite the Right rally. It was a gathering of far right individuals. This is not necessarily that. This is a Second Amendment protest where you have the right to carry private firearms in the state of Virginia still, and you're able to take those out in the public. And they're trying to take away that right, at least temporarily, in this situation, and they're purposely conflating the right to be able to defend yourself with the Second Amendment with white supremacy. Those are not at all related things.
That's another fallacy. And by the way, there's also a backdrop to this whole thing, and that is 90 out of the 95 counties in Virginia have passed resolutions declaring themselves Second Amendment sanctuary counties because of Governor Northam's announcement that he's going to impose draconian gun control laws, including forced confiscation. So that's what the impetus for this whole thing is. It's not just like a bunch of gun nuts all got together and decided they're going to beat up on Governor Abortamall.
The West Virginia legislature has introduced a resolution which, if passed, would grant constitutional-friendly Virginia counties the right to secede and join West Virginia.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
The measure would be acted under the provisions of Article 4, Section 11 of the Constitution of West Virginia. The measure also assures Virginia citizens that their firearm rights shall be protected to the fullest extent possible under the federal and state constitutions.
Yeah, the reconstitution of states, I think Congress is going to say it there too about that.
No, Congress has to approve any change in the state's territory. So I'm betting that's not going to happen, but it's interesting to talk about and think about, because it comes up every once in a while in New York where some counties in the southern tier want to secede and become part of Pennsylvania instead or something. And
let's bring back the state of Franklin and Jefferson again.
It's all got to be approved by Congress, John. That's
most people don't even know those were states at one time.
Well, they almost became states.
Well, yeah, I don't want to say states as in
so there's a whole. We'll have to do another pre-recorded episode on that type of stuff, which is interesting. But again, with this stuff that's going on in Virginia, I take issue with the purposeful conflating of people who want to exercise their Second Amendment rights with white supremacists, and that's something that gets painted all the time.
Yeah, marginalization is called.
Yeah, right. So they want to build that association in your mind. So every time you start to see that on mainstream media sources and among Democrats, you really ought to challenge that again, because, and again, this is another one I want to do a deep dive in history on, but gun control as a tool of white supremacy, as in the government using gun control to be able to suppress the rights of African Americans throughout history, is a fascinating and awful thing.
I heard the guys from World War II stood up in, was it Kentucky or Tennessee or something?
Athens, Tennessee.
It's another one during Reconstruction. Again, I want to do a whole episode on that one of these days, because it's really interesting. But again, you as an American have a right to be able to defend yourself. You have a right to be able to peacefully petition your government. The people who are going there, I know there may be some people who do have ill intention. I get that. We try to prevent that. But I don't think that most of those people there are going there to protest peacefully. And if something does happen, the patriotic Americans who want to see people be safe, they're going to be there to stop that incident immediately.
Yeah, the appalling thing that's going on is not the gathering of 6 figures worth, maybe 150, 170,000 folks who are believers in the Second Amendment, and many of whom intend to carry legally in accordance with state law down there. But what's really appalling is the dishonesty, the blatant dishonesty from Governor Northam. About the nature of this group, about the origins of, and also the alarmism is it's appalling. It's just a great big lie.
Yeah, and they want you to think just because there's a bunch of people who are exercising their Second Amendment right over here, that must mean they're making a march on the Capitol to overthrow the government. No, that's not necessarily what they're doing. They're going there to.
They want to be heard.
Yeah, they want to be heard. They're feeling like the government of Virginia is ignoring them and violating their rights, and they absolutely have a right to go there and make that statement. And I think they have a right to do that with the firearms too, to show that hey, we're doing this, we're safe, we want to be able to defend ourselves. That is our constitutional right, and you guys don't get to violate that.
I really hope it does not become violent. I really do. However, I do have a lot of microwave popcorn ready. Sit back and watch it.
By the way, microwave popcorn is even more dangerous than vaping. So I think
you ever breathe those fumes?
That butter-like stuff is
diacetyl. That's what it is.
It's don't they use that to patch roads with potholes and stuff?
I don't know, but diacetyl is a delicious butter flavor, and it wasn't some old vaping products too. It actually was bad for you. They stopped doing that. That gives you popcorn lung.
Regarding the Virginia thing, though, one last thing I just want to say, because you know how I am about educating and stuff like that. Ever since this came about, I've heard this term boogaloo. been coming.
Right.
It's been popping up, and just so people understand what it actually means.
So you see these in some of the far right things. I think Andrew's done a good job of educating people about like a lot of like what goes on in these situations, and people use that term to say that they want a civil war, and again it's something you'll see like kind of an extreme thing, and it's also people who like to make memes about it. They like to joke about it.
Wait a minute, Boogaloo means civil war?
Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, it means the people who are going to. So if you ever see that, that's kind of what people are making reference to, is they're saying Civil War II, Electric Boogaloo. That's what that's.
It's a code word.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a code word. So if you see people talking about the Boogaloo,
It's like
they mean,
boomer, kind of like.
It's not the Gen Zs using it though, not all of them, but what it is again it's a reference to people who are usually making jokes about some kind of actual uprising to go out and fight the government and have a revolutionary war type of thing.
So let's Boogaloo is that's a call to arms.
Yeah. So if you say that, then yeah, you're making a call to arms. So that's what that's all about. If you're seeing that, so you'll see people making memes about the Boogaloo in Virginia and whatever. So, but my hope is that it ends peacefully. The governor respects the rights of Second Amendment people there, and maybe the Supreme Court will even intervene to allow this rally to happen the way it should happen. Thanks again for joining us at Radio Free New York. We'll be back with another segment in just a few minutes.
More than twice the power. WYSL.
You ran over, FYI.
On FM 95.
You ran over.
AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest.
No problem. I'll make up for it.
At NBC Weather Center for tonight, we'll see some increasing clouds out there. Temperatures will slowly climb into the lower 20s by morning on Saturday. Dry to start, but snow should arrive by midday. We're expecting a couple of inches of snow in the afternoon before it mixes with and changes to a bit of sleet and rain in the evening. Temps will get into the mid-30s. Breezy and colder with some areas of lake effect snow on Sunday. I'm Rich Cadelia on WYSL.
Because your future is worth it. MGM Associates Insurance. Proudly serving the region since 1984, MGM can meet your coverage needs, ranging from home, condo, and auto, all the way to specialized policies for business, workers' comp, to limo and taxi insurance, and coverage for tech professionals like IT specialists. They can also help lead you through the confusing maze in the new world of health insurance coverage and options. MGM Associates is large enough to serve you, but small enough to care, so you don't have to wait in line on some 800 number to get prompt personal attention. MGM Associates is the only winner of the National Best Practices Award 6 times in a row. MGM is proud to support veterans groups, including Heroes Home Advantage. For your personal business, home, or professional insurance needs, meet the professionals at MGM Associates Insurance, locally and proudly owned at 1745 Penfield Road in Penfield. 381-7008 or mgminsurance.com. An associate of Preferred Mutual Insurance, One Preferred Way, New Berlin, New York.
When it's colder inside your house than it is outside, don't just put on another sweater.
Honey, we need help.
Call Taylor at 500 help. Did the temperature drop and your furnace just stopped?
Honey, we need help.
Call Taylor at 500 help. Taylor is always on call to help, so when a heating emergency happens any time of the day or night,
honey, we need help.
You know what to do. Call Taylor. 500 help.
At Family Furniture in Barrie, get everyday savings without big chain store hassles. Find out why Family Furniture is the shopping destination for thousands all over the region. For the best prices, quality, and selection on name brand sofas, bedroom and dining groups, recliners, and motion furniture. You'll also find great financing deals for qualified buyers and quick, convenient delivery. Family Furniture in downtown Barrie, serving you for over 70 years. Open Monday and Tuesday till 5:30, Wednesday till 12:30, Thursday and Friday nights till 7, Saturdays till 4.
Imagine what it feels like right now to live outside today in these cold temperatures. Right now, the Open Door Mission is in Code Blue Alert and working hard to give as many of our homeless neighbors a chance to get in from the bitter cold. What that means is the mission is ready to provide more beds, more food, more clothing, more everything to make sure no one is in danger of the outdoor elements. Give a gift now to support Code Blue efforts of the mission. Visit opendoormissionrocny.org. That's opendoormissionrocny.org.
Ah, those moments in life when things are just a little too close. Like the time your spouse said, you'll never fit into that parking space.
You'll never fit into that.
Let's face it, sometimes close is too close. Unless we're talking about the closest gaming action around at nearby Finger Lakes Gaming and Racetrack. With over 1,100 gaming machines, thoroughbred racing, a delicious buffet, and live entertainment, the action at Finger Lakes is always close by. Visit us on Route 96 Farmington and FingerLakesGaming.com. Must be 18 to play video gaming machines.
I'm Las from Action Towing and Service. The biggest difference between our repair facility and any other one in the area is that we offer free Wi-Fi. We offer the home feel. When you come in, you're going to be greeted with a smile. The people that work at Action Towing and Service are people that are passionate about their contribution to the community. We're passionate about our customers, and we really try to do right by each and every one of them. Action Towing and Service of Rochester. Please give us an opportunity to win your business. Come down and visit us at 275 Marketplace Drive, right off of Jefferson Road.
Want to be inspired and challenged? Join Rochester's Businessmen's Fellowship. BMF unites Christian men in faith and fellowship in a way that encourages and challenges them to be ambassadors in the marketplace. Meet Gary Pasro and John Furtari as they lead the monthly one-hour challenge on every first Thursday of the month at Pasro Associates, 242 West Main Street, 6:30 a.m. sharp. You'll be encouraged, inspired, and challenged. Come join us the first Thursday of the month.
Avon Gun and Hunting Supply.
Coming back.
An operated gun shop specializing in pre-owned firearms and repairs. Get your rifle, shotgun, or pistol serviced and tuned before you take it to the field. Open Tuesday through Saturday, Sunday and Monday by appointment. Avon Gun, East Main Street, next to the Bank of Castile.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
Welcome back to Radio Free New York. Thanks again for joining us. We're live here in the WYSL studio. Give us a call if you want to join the conversation, 585-346-3000. And of course, shout out to our friends at WACK and WENY. If y'all listen to the show later and you want to participate, send us an email, contact@radiofreenewyork.com. If you send us good questions or comments, maybe we'll read them on the air or we'll take your feedback. We'd love to hear what you think. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us. We're doing lots of different topics today. Yeah. Just jumping around, just trying to cover some of the stuff that we feel like we weren't able to cover earlier in the week. And one of the ones that we want to talk about was the Police Accountability Board in Rochester. Now, for those of you who don't live in the area, you haven't been following the news of this, what happened in the city of Rochester is there's a referendum last November to get a Police Accountability Board that would be filled by a police accountability group, city council, and the mayor. They would appoint these members to a police accountability board. So if there's a complaint of police abuse or violence against a police officer, that this board would be able to investigate and be able to discipline the officer. And that was kind of the big area of contention in the city. Do they just have investigation power, or do they have the power to discipline? I think the mayor's office is still challenging whether or not they have the power and ability to be able to discipline police officers, because the mayor thinks that they should still be able to do that, and the police union still thinks they should be able to do that. But there was a charter amendment that was the reason behind the referendum in November in the city, and that passed overwhelmingly.
75%.
Yeah. So that's what's going on there.
A little background here too, folks. Again, those who live outside the Rochester metro. Rochester is a city of somewhere between 210 and 220,000 people. There are, I believe, 13,000 registered Republicans in the city.
You think that's relevant, Bob?
I think it has something to do with the overwhelming support for the Police Accountability Board, which, by the way, is also being opposed in a lawsuit by the Police Locust Club.
Right. And it almost got taken off the ballot, too. But it ended up going through. It was on the ballot. It passed overwhelmingly. It's there. It's happening. I support it. I think, and here's why. I think that it provides a good function of showing that if something goes wrong, there's a mechanism outside of the police to be able to say something is happening. Someone who is more objective is investigating that. Trust in the police in the city of Rochester is incredibly low in a lot of neighborhoods, and this provides kind of a relief valve to say, well, here are members of the community who are looking at this objectively, who have a different stake in the game, who are investigating this and being able to determine whether or not something actually went wrong. So there are several members who are appointed to the Police Accountability Board recently. And Sean, I know you had something to say about that.
Yeah, I just want to step back 1 second and clarify. To the best of my knowledge, the Police Accountability Board has only the power to suggest the punishment. The police still reserve the right to administer it.
No, I'm pretty sure. No, that's what the charter amendment was about.
You got more power than that.
Yeah, that's what the mayor wanted.
Maybe I misinterpreted what I read last night, because that's what I thought.
The mayor wanted it to be so they could recommend punishment, and it would be carried out by the mayor and the chief of police, who is appointed by the mayor. That's what they wanted. They thought that would be on more legally stable grounds. Whereas the charter amendments that we voted on in November was to give the Police Accountability Board the actual power to discipline officers, which is what the Locust Club is challenging. But generally, I think it's a good idea. We'll see how it works out in practice, because I think it does provide that relief valve to give a sense of trust in the community, that if something bad does happen, the police aren't just going to close ranks. I don't know that they would always do that. I don't want to accuse RPD specifically of doing that, but that is the perception, and this was the political solution to combat that perception.
And there's a countervailing concern on the part of the police, which is we're going to have this Police Accountability Board comprised of people who have no idea of the pressures and the strictures of law enforcement, the practical application of techniques that are used by the police and so forth.
Yeah. So the discussion around this when it was being talked about was that they could have at least one retired police officer on the Police Accountability Board to provide that perspective, although they couldn't be a Rochester Police Department retiree. They had to be from somewhere else.
Because I say we know a guy. We know a good guy for that.
Right. But anyway, that it doesn't appear that happens. Even though I think that would have provided a valuable perspective, right? You have a lot of interesting people who are on this Police Accountability Board, but they, as far as I can tell, they don't have anyone who had a background in law enforcement.
No. I like the idea of it being from a different force too.
Yeah,
so some built-in objectivity there.
Exactly. Right. And then you can say, okay, was this actually how things are supposed to be done, or is it, or is this an abuse of power? Right? There's this an inappropriate action. You don't have that same loyalty to the same police department where you wouldn't want to, betray someone that was had served with you, right?
I kind of have a little problem with the selections they made, but fortunately, if I was reading correctly again, some of the positions are only for 6 months, and then they're going to be reevaluated, and other people can be chosen. But it consists of 2 doctors, a director, a rabbi, 2 reverends. Well, this is also a doctor, a physician's assistant, a deaf systems advocate, and a substance abuse therapist. Where's the salt of the earth? Where are the common man? These people, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody with a PhD, but from my experience of dealing with people with PhDs, you're disconnected. You've had your face in a book on a college campus for nearly a decade, but yet you're going to tell us what the common man is going through?
So, Sean, I really don't quite understand where you're getting at. So, like the doctors, right? The doctors who are on there, they're medical doctors, right? So the reason why you'd want like a medical doctor on this board is like if a person is injured as a result of police action, they would be able to evaluate what types of injuries, what were they caused by, things like that.
Oh, hogwash. I've played enough lacrosse and football in my day. I can assess it.
I've assessed my own injuries. I feel like a doctor's more qualified than you, Sean. No offense, buddy.
But I'm saying, like, any mother could assess, when their kids get a cut and a scrape or a broken bone or whatever. And if the police have to go, if the police ended up beating
there are
somebody,
moms on there too.
If the police had to go to the point where they beat somebody that a doctor's needed to assess the damage, that's guilty on top of guilty right there.
So like when you have like the civil suits that happen, that's what ends up happening is the doctor will do an evaluation and they'll say, okay, here's what happened. Here's like the injury, and they'll use the medical terms, and this is what bones were injured or muscles were injured or organs were injured. And then they'll make that list, and that's what ends up going in the civil suit. And then, if the judgment does end up happening in favor of the person who filed the suit, then of course we pay the bill for it. But
okay, well they have one medical doctor and one physician assistant. The other doctor is a doctor. He holds a doctorate degree in like ministry, theology, and a bunch of things like that. It's
because a lot of these the folks around there, like the reverends and stuff, they're active in the community, right? Like they're connected with the people on the ground who talk about these things. They hold meetings at their places of worship to be able to discuss these issues and how it impacts the community. So I don't think they're terrible choices, and I think the Police Accountability Board is really interesting. The one that's getting a lot of discussion right now is Mikhail Powell, who had served time in jail for a pretty awful crime. He had shot someone in the doorway of a daycare center, and he'd gone to jail for it. Now he's a substance abuse counselor who works with people who are recently incarcerated. And a lot of people are upset with his appointment. I'm really not. I'm like, well, if he's working with people who are recently incarcerated, that some of those same people might be going through and making complaints, and he provides a unique perspective on that. But a lot of people are very upset with his organization is called the Reentry and Community Development Center.
And he's the one that I actually have the least amount of problem with.
Right. So he's the one he's most salt of the earth, huh?
Yeah, to me, because I mean, that person's got some serious mileage. They got serious street mileage on them. They know what's happening in the street. They've been there. These other people, overly educated, out of touch. Out of touch.
Bunch of damn eggheads. So
thanks, Buff.
No problem. So more important, I think, than the actual initial selection of the personnel, what's the term?
What's the term? Yeah, so that one I was trying to find.
Some of them are 6 months, and then I didn't hear anything else about the other ones. And I guess they're going to get picked and choose different times.
Yeah, so I'll post an article following up on that, because coming up next is Fake News Friday.
Yay!
Yeah,
it's kind of like our version of Happy Hour.
That's right. End the week on a fun note.
Smoke them if you got them.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
Human trafficking is when someone is being forced, tricked, or coerced to engage in a sex trade or forced labor. If you're a kid and forced to sell sex, drugs, or work against your will, that's trafficking. You're not a criminal, and there is help available. Call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888 or text Be Free. Sponsored by the Livingston County Safe Harbors Human Trafficking Task Force.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues.
Hey, Bob.
Business running smooth.
Hey, Rick Hayes just wants to know what time and day is that conference call?
State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe.
Thanks.
Secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau.
Sorry, his computer updated and he lost the note. Last spot
200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
Yes, it's Fake News Friday on Radio Free New York.
Yes, welcome back to Radio Free New York. It's Fake News Friday time, where we read some headlines and we try to figure out if it's real or fake news. And, I'm going to kick this off.
Go for it.
Here's the headline. Iran may have a fleet of communist killer dolphins. Real news or fake news?
I'm going to go with real news.
Bob, what do you think?
I'm thinking fake.
Fake news. It is real news. Now, I don't know if the dolphins are actually communists, but they did come from the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union had a weapons program where they had dolphins who were able to either have bombs attached to them so they could defend shipping areas, or they could disarm mines, things like that. And Iran had gotten these from the Soviet Union and trained them and kept them around, and were apparently using these. The U.S. military was preparing to deal with this if it were in fact an actual thing. So there is some evidence to suggest Iran may in fact have communist killer dolphins.
I kind of knew it was real because, I know the United States back in the 60s trained dolphins to attach clamps onto torpedoes that were laying on the bottom.
Yeah.
Also to do nuclear warhead recovery.
Yep.
And I recently remember seeing that beluga whale in Russia that decided to return somebody's iPhone and wanted to play catch. And
if you train a whale or dolphins, why not? Maybe it's...
And he had the thing is, he had a harness around him that was saying United States or something, property or something on it.
And
oh boy.
The story I got this was from military.com too. That's the website. Sean, do you have one for us?
Oh yeah, you know me. I'm just gonna go right down that road every time.
Oh goodness.
Florida man.
Florida man. What's Florida man
so
doing?
it's probably true, right? Because it's Florida man.
You never know.
Florida man arrested for hanging from a traffic light and pooping on cars.
Yeah, that sounds real. I don't know. I'd believe it, but
I'm going to go with real.
I'd Google it. Is it real?
A Florida man high on meth decided to climb a traffic light and go number 2 on passing cars. It took the police and the fire department to get him down as he was arrested.
Yay, we both win.
Everyone
both
wins
correct.
that situation. Bobby,
it's Florida man,
Florida.
I had something here and it went away.
Oh, man.
But I can't read the background on it, but I can tell you what the story is. Melania Trump routinely uses a body double.
Ooh, I've seen this one around.
I've seen some different looks about her, and I'm thinking that it's true.
Okay, Sean's going with true. What say you?
I'm going to say it's fake news.
It is fake, but I can't find the background on it. My phone did a weird thing. I lost the link. I'll see if I can find it.
People are saying that Melania is like the hottest first lady ever, and I'm also saying she's the most unhappiest. I mean, the look on her face, and she won't hold hands with him.
Oh, no, that's just that icy stare that supermodels always have.
Yeah, no, I don't.
She has a look.
I'm not
very tense look. All right.
She didn't want to move into the White House right away. She basically had to get dragged over.
Anyways, I want to read some, before we run out of time, I want to read some of these tweets from allegedly Michael Bloomberg.
No.
Did Michael Bloomberg make these claims? Mike can telepathically communicate with dolphins. Mike has eaten Clams Casino for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day for the past 30 years. And did Michael Bloomberg tweet out a picture of himself photoshopped as a meatball? Are any of these things true?
Well, the Clams Casino thing would explain a lot.
Yeah,
I have to say.
certainly would. You know,
real news or fake news?
Billionaires can get so eccentric that I would say, yes, it's going to be real news.
It's going to be real news? What do you think? Real news?
Which one?
Fake news?
The Clams Casino or the...
Any of them.
Any of them?
And telepathically communicating with dolphins. Can Michael Bloomberg do that? Or did he say that he did that?
I think he would say that he could do that.
Yeah.
I've heard him say a lot of loopy stuff.
Yeah. So that stuff is all true in the sense that their official Twitter, the blue check Team Bloomberg Twitter decided to tweet out a bunch of Michael Bloomberg facts while he wasn't in the debate, claiming those things. So his Twitter was not hacked. That is really his team who decided to tweet that stuff out. They also tweeted out some gems like podium order was determined by a corn dog eating contest at the Iowa State Fair. Much like a real wolf, debate moderator Wolf Blitzer can devour an elk carcass in one sitting. And yeah, then they did a bunch of weird polls. They did, it was a strange thing to read.
I always wondered if Wolf Blitzer's family could be referred to as a pack.
Waka waka.
Yeah, but where's the rim shot noise when you need it? Yeah, but no. Here's a picture of Michael Bloomberg. Yeah, that'll haunt your memory, Sean.
They put his face superimposed it into a.
Oh yeah, no, that'll haunt your memories. I do have another one ready though too.
Okay.
Michigan town buys nasal ranger to track down stinky marijuana plants. Did they buy a nose gun to track down marijuana plants?
I saw a picture of somebody holding this device to their nose, and with the amount of money we're throwing at police departments for drug enforcement, I think they would be stupid enough to actually buy something like this. Yes.
Real news or fake news?
I'm going to say fake.
No, there's a real thing that a Michigan town invested in. Here's a nice picture of it.
This guy looks like he's holding a speed gun up to his nose.
Yeah, so this guy, he's holding a thing over his nose, and it's supposed to be able to assist in detecting marijuana smell. Supposedly, they're trying to figure out, is this legal to use? Is it something that's going to be effective? But apparently they are doing that, even though I think they legalized marijuana in Michigan too.
Yeah, well, it's actually, if you think about this for a minute, which I did not do before I said it's probably fake, because I got blindsided, folks. I didn't know. I didn't see it coming. Yeah. But with all the new marijuana laws, they're going to have new means of enforcement.
Yeah, right.
They have to have more, detection and more investigative tools. Like there's a breathalyzer now for dope, for THC, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. They need to be able to figure out how to do that, because you can be impaired while driving, and that's, I think, a fair thing to want to prevent. And I read it, why they're doing this is you can't have plants visible or grown outside of an enclosed, secure area. So everything's got to be secure. So if you're growing you can still grow your plants illegally, apparently, in Michigan, which is why they have invested in the Nasal Ranger.
Nasal Ranger.
Yeah.
That's probably a copyrighted as a service mark now.
I'm just glad I'm going to be long gone pushing daisies up, because, by the time people come to realize, they can be like, people banned a plant? Are you kidding?
Apparently it's been around for a while. I'm reading about it, and Denver had used it for a little bit, and before legalization. And
I can imagine them using that in Rochester. It'd go off every 2 seconds.
Yeah, I feel like walking down the street half the time will just smell it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's Bessemer, Michigan. Apparently, it cost $3,400 to purchase this device and train police officers.
Oh, that's too expensive. I wanted one, but not anymore.
Yeah.
Told you, they're just throwing the money away.
All right. Thanks again for joining us here on Radio Free New York for Fake News Friday. We'll be back again Monday. Talk to you then.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Sean. And thank you, audience. We'll see you next time.